The day of you benefiting off of Black women's labor is over. The 92%, they are resting, as they should. They have done the work of civil rights and equal rights for the entirety of this country's history. And you have stood back in your privilege and benefited when you could have used your privilege to push ahead civil rights and equal rights. But instead, you let them be beat, you let them be killed, and you just siphoned out the benefits from their labor.
Communities of color have been warning us about exactly what is happening. Okay, you might not have processed that this was going to happen, but they have. They've been processing it, they've been seeing it, and they've been trying to get our attention. We have not really been listening. If you're feeling like you're crashing out right now, you need to focus on yourself a little bit, because you can't help if you're not focused on taking care of your own mental and physical wellness, okay? So you need to, if you're freaking out and you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know what to do right now, you need to hydrate, okay?
Hello guys, now welcome back again to this channel. And today's session we have this video of these whites who are trying to reconcile back with the blacks. I just don't know if it is a very genuine, I don't know if it's coming from their heart, but let's get into the video. Give me your views concerning this particular video in the comment section. I'll give you my take later on after this clip, but first let's get into it. And if this is your first time in this channel, please, you can consider supporting us by subscribing. Let's get into it.
My white lady friends, everybody else can keep going. Ladies, now is not the time to crash out on this app, okay? I've seen 4 videos this morning of white ladies crying on this app and saying it's too much and they can't handle it. I know, okay? I know, I feel you. This is really hard. Communities of color have been warning us about exactly what is happening. Okay, you might not have processed that this was going to happen, but they have. They've been processing it, they've been seeing it, and they've been trying to get our attention. We have not really been listening. If you're feeling like you're crashing out right now, you need to focus on yourself a little bit, because you can't help if you're not focused on taking care of your own mental and physical wellness, okay? So you need to, if you're freaking out and you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know what to do right now, you need to hydrate, okay? You need to eat healthy food. You need to take a walk. You need to develop a meditation or prayer practice that helps provide you some calm and some grounding. You are not going to be any help if you are just spinning out. If you have ever posted a black square, okay, or if you have been talking about how you want to wear a blue bracelet to show you're one of the good ones, the first thing you need to do is like get your own house in order.
This video is for the white women crashing out because Kamala Harris posted a picture of she and Doug on Valentine's Day, and oh, you were outraged. We don't have time for Valentine's. We have to fight fascism. Where are you? Why aren't you standing up? Why aren't you leading the charge? Why? We demand that you show up. She did. You didn't. The data doesn't lie. She showed up. She fought. She sacrificed. But you did not. And I have news for y'all. The day of you benefiting off of Black women's labor is over. 92%, they are resting, as they should. They have done the work of civil rights and equal rights for the entirety of this country's history. And you have stood back in your privilege and benefited when you could have used your privilege to push ahead civil rights and equal rights. But instead, you let them be beat, you let them be killed, and you just siphoned out the benefits from their labor. That day is over. So let me say to all the Nancy Grahams and every Patty Mayonnaise who's crashing out over Kamala Harris having her due rest, her due joy, her due good food eaten because she lost so much weight because she was giving everything during that election, getting her due love from Doug, being with her family, having her due rest, as is the rest of the 92%. Let me say this to you all, Patty Mayonnaise. Let me say this to you, Nancy Graham. Let me say this. If you want a new bonnet in this season, you're gonna have to go pick the cotton yourself in the field. Let me just snatch that whip out of your metaphoric hand. Black people are not your property. Black women do not owe you their labor. It is your turn, far past your turn, to get out there and do the work yourself. And not just for you, also for them. It's our turn to create a safe place. It's our turn to put our bodies in the line. It's our turn to go to the streets. It's our turn to mobilize. It's our turn to organize. It's our turn. Don't let me catch you posting that crap, calling out Kamala. You keep her name out of your mouth. Sick of y'all. Sick of it. Sick of it.
Welcome back to another episode of A White Woman Talks About Race Because Black Women Are Tired. The comment reads, I think it would be cool if we heard this from them instead of a white woman speaking for them. And I agree. I wish we were hearing this from them, but we're not listening. And since we're not listening, you're stuck listening to me. Black women have spent years and decades and lives and centuries trying to educate us, trying to fight for us, the collective us, and we have not been listening to them. As a white woman, if I am ever caught speaking over Black women, I hope you will call me out and call me out swiftly. However, I think that there is a difference between speaking over Black women versus expecting Black women to continue to do the labor of educating us when they have been saying the same thing for decades and we haven't been listening. It is time for us to stop relying on their labor and to bring the conversation back home, to start having it amongst ourselves, to start having it within our community, and to start having it within ourselves. Because if we pay attention to what Black women have been saying, then we would recognize that blue bracelets are the same as we understand the assignment. They're the same as putting a black square on Instagram. If we've been listening to Black women, then we don't need them to step in and tell us that we're doing the same damn thing. And again, we should never speak over Black women on Black issues. But as white women, we need to be talking about white issues. And racism is a white issue. It is a white thing. We are the ones doing it. We are the ones perpetuating it. We need to start having these conversations in ways that aren't just shame circles that feel a lot like an AA meeting. We need to just be talking about it woman to woman, talking about it frankly, talking about it without immediately putting up walls of defense. Racism is a white issue. We cannot rely solely on Black women and Black educators to solve the issue of race. In fact, we can't rely on them at all because they're not the issue. We are. So we need to start relying on ourselves. We need to start taking the burden off of them to educate us and look at all of the educating that they've already done and start listening to it, start talking amongst each other about it. Because if we constantly wait for them to educate us and then we don't listen when they do, we're not moving anywhere. We're not helping anyone. We're not being the solidarity that we think we are. In the same way that we cannot solve issues of sexism and sexual assault until men start having conversations and holding each other accountable for the actions that they are doing, we cannot make any difference until we start holding each other accountable and calling others out before Black women have to get involved and call us out, right? A man does not have to wait for a woman to say, hey, that was a rape joke, that's inappropriate, for a man to step in and call it out. We understand that. So why do we think that the same is not true amongst ourselves when we're talking about race and how we inflict racism on Black women?
Hi, I have a message for white women, particularly white women who would identify themselves as being liberal or progressive or leftist. I would assume that right now you're feeling angry, upset, overwhelmed. The current state of affairs politically, socially, and I'm right there with you. But I think it's important for us as white women, and I mean that as like I'm generalizing, this is all going to be in general terms. I'm not talking about specific people, but as a demographic, I think that we need to really assess where we've been and where we want to go, because I think there's a lot of history that people are not aware of. In fact, I know there's a lot of history that people aren't aware of, and it's stuff that we need to talk about in order to do things differently moving forward. So white women don't have a great track record of standing in solidarity with other marginalized groups, particularly other marginalized groups of women. And Maybe that comes as a surprise to you, maybe it doesn't. But if it does, it's because there's a very specific version of history that we're taught. And it's a version of history that really favors us and centers us. But the truth is that on many, many occasions, white women have said that they're in solidarity with non-white women. And then when the tide looks like it could turn for white women, we jump ship and align ourselves with patriarchal colonial systems. And that has really, really hurt all progress, actually, because we will be making strides as a collective group, as marginalized folks, as people who are being oppressed under a patriarchal system. And then patriarchy will compromise with white women to stop white women from rocking the boat. And then white women will stop rocking the boat because we are given some little thing that we have asked for that doesn't address the needs of the other people who we were standing in solidarity with. But because we got something for us, we're like, well, that's good enough for now. And we forget. Well, we don't forget. We decide that our lives are more important than the other people that we were originally in solidarity with. And this has happened so many times, and it has really eroded the relationship between white women and non-white women because non-white women feel like they can't trust us. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense because we have shown as a demographic, again, I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but as a group, as a collective, we have said we stand with you. We're right here with you. We're fighting for a future for all of us. And then when the powers that be come to white women and are like, you know what, we'll give you this little piece if you abandon ship. We've done it. We've done it a bunch of times. When white women genuinely are working in solidarity with a wide range of groups who are also suffering under patriarchal, colonial, rule, it genuinely scares. It's a threat. It's a genuine threat. And that's why the powers that be will placate white women to get them to settle back down and to bring them back into the fold and to offer them something. Because if we actually were all in solidarity together and maintained that solidarity, because it has to be liberation for all of us, that would potentially be able to dismantle some of these systems. And so the systems are like, hey, you white women, let's do this for you. We're going to do this for you. We're taking you seriously and we're going to do this for you. And then we fall for it every single time because it benefits us. But then it will circle back around because we are maintaining the systems. The system's designed to not serve us. So we've screwed ourselves over and we've screwed everyone else over. And I just think that maybe we should stop doing that, such that we might be able to inform real, meaningful, systemic change. Most feminism in a Western context has been incredibly white and incredibly elitist. And that's not ever going to tear down oppressive systems. That's just an additional oppressive system. So if you need a place to start, I would really recommend Women, Race, and Class by Angela Davis. It is pure gold. It is so informative, and it has a lot of history that I guarantee you did not learn in school.
I have a genuine question for Black women, specifically. So if you're not a Black woman or a woman of color, please don't comment on this video. Maybe look at the comments if this video gets any traction, but I really only want to be hearing from Black women and women of color, because I've seen a lot about the blue bracelets on this app, and I think we're all in agreement that it's very performative and it isn't actually something that is for Black women. It signifies to us, women who look like me, that we voted blue. But what I really want to know is, Black women, what makes you feel safe when we're in shared spaces? What can I do, and those in my circles do, to make you feel seen and heard and safe when we are in shared spaces.
I pray to God that this does not come off as offensive to anybody, because I mean this with the utmost love and respect from the bottom of my whole entire heart. But when a Black woman calls me baby, there is so much, what kind of magic are you putting in there? Because that shit hits harder than crack. Every single time, every encounter in my life that I have had with a Black woman where she calls me baby, I have never felt more loved and supported in my entire life. I feel almost imprinted on. Like, are you my mother? I will go to the ends of the earth for that woman. Okay? Ride or die. Because it may have just been a very quick one-time encounter for her. But for me, you don't understand. We're like this. How, call me, beat me if you gotta reach me, because I will do whatever. How can I be of service? Do you need a ride to church? Let me make reparations for my people, because I love you. And I don't know what it is, but goddamn, there's something so special about it. It's magic. I want to have that effect on people. That is beautiful. And I love you. And that's it. I don't know. I've never felt more safe and secure in my life.
Now, I don't know if this sounds genuine to you. I just believe maybe they're very guilty of the fact that Blacks are very quiet, very calm, regardless of the hard times and situations they've been going through over centuries. But they're just calm, they're not provoking. And so this disturbs their hearts. And I don't know if they're speaking from a point of genuinity, because after all that time, why now? Why didn't you say this earlier on? Why now that the Blacks are now enlightened? I just feel they are afraid. They are afraid of the Black folks. True reconciliation requires more than symbolic gestures. It takes systemic change, accountability, and genuine efforts to address past and present injustices. I just don't know how you feel about the video. I don't know what you take on this video, but you can share your views in the comment section. And if this is your first time in this channel, we greatly appreciated your time here. And please consider supporting us by simply subscribing, giving us a like, sharing our content, and ringing that notification bell in order for you to get updated of our posts. Hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.